Hey y'all, I'm Jules and this is my art bender. Welcome to week 3 of starting an art journal, where today we are going to explore our creativity. We are going to turn everyday things into something magical. This week we're going to start a journal page that feels like you. We are going to start exploring watercolor backgrounds, make some stamps out of some found objects. Once we built up some texture, we're going to dive into these Zentangle-inspired designs. They're simple meditative patterns, and you will find deep joy in this process. By the end, you'll have a beautiful layered page ready for your thoughts or whatever you feel like adding later. It's going to be a one-of-a-kind canvas for your thoughts and ideas. This is all about experimenting and letting go. Enjoy the creative process. So let's go over our supplies and get this started. Briefly, these are the materials we will need for this class. So I want you to find some random objects around the house, like paper towel holders or a gift wrap, cardboard from the center of a gift wrap, some cardboard, string. I also have bubble wrap. I'm going to use all these things to make some stamps. And I also have a lino cut. I do like to practice lino cutting. So I've got my little cutter, and I've actually fashioned some little dots that I will decorate with this marker. Okay, I also have a micron gold paint pen, another reddish pinkish paint pen, and a green gelato. This is a water-based paint in a stick form. I also have a few other acrylic paints, from yellows to golds, periwinkle, white, blue, green, and then I'm also going to use some watercolors. I'm going to use yellow, orange, and this opera rose color. So I will need some paint brushes, water, rag, and of course my art journal to put everything in. Let's get going. All right, let's start out by spraying our palette down, get our watercolors wet, because I want us to build some creative confidence in this first step. I'm going to get my big brush and get a lot of this yellow on it, and I'm just going to make a couple squiggles down each page. That's simple. Go back, get some more yellow, and I'm going to start thinking about some diagonal lines, like two big diagonal swaths of paint going across the page from left to right. So just fill in a little bit more yellow. I'm leaving lots of white around it. Just follow along with me. This is actually super simple. Rinse my brush, and then I'm going to go for some orange, and I'm just going to be putting it around the perimeter of all of the yellow. Because this is multimedia paper and not watercolor paper, we just want to go over these areas once, maybe twice, and that's it altogether, because you don't want the page to start disintegrating on us. So I've got the orange all around the yellow, and I'm going to go back and grab some of the opera rose, and now just fill in the white spots. I'll reload my brush as I need it and just keep filling it in and going around. One more time in this bottom right corner. Get all that white filled up, and now I'm just going to go back and start smoothing the edges, just so it's not these really stark lines of color. So I want it to blend together. Look, and that's it. We made this in no time flat. I'm going to set this aside and let it dry as we create our stamps. So I'm going to grab my string and this tiny little piece of cardboard and just start wrapping it around the cardboard. I'm going to make sure that each layer I put, though, is laying next to each other. I don't want some of the strings higher than the others. I want them all the same height on the cardboard. So I'm going to keep wrapping and then go back to the beginning and then flip it over and tie it off. And you can adjust, the strings, and we'll adjust them more in a minute to get the pattern exactly the way we want to. But just tie it up and then grab your scissors and clip. All right, now we have made a stamp. Look at that. I'm just going to arrange the fibers a little bit so it gets to be kind of a starburst pattern. I want them tighter at the top, closer together at the top, and then spaced out a little bit more at the bottom. I'm going to bring in this side there. So that looks pretty good. I think I like that. And I think that'll make a nice repeating pattern for us. So I've also taken another string and wrapped it around this barrel, and I could put that in paint and roll it around. I also have this bubble wrap that we will use, and this is my lino cut. I've already made these little circles, as you see, that I've cut out, and you can just use them as a stamp. And I usually take these markers and color on them, and we'll do that too. So I'll show you that. And this is just paper towel holders that have been rubber band together. We're going to use all this stuff. It's going to be so much fun. Okay, so let's get our page dry the rest of the way, and we'll come back and begin the stamping. Okay, so I'm going to grab some yellow acrylic paint and some white also. I want to bring this yellow up. I want it to be yellow, but I want it to stand out from the background. So I'll mix a little bit of this and we'll just see what happens. So I'm going to combine it with my round brush and just start putting the pigment down on top of the fibers that we have already assembled. Oh my gosh, I love this. So I went to the Hobby Lobby the other day and I priced stamps, and I was a little shocked at some of the prices, and I thought to myself, why am I going to buy this stuff when I can just make it? So here we go. I'm going to give this color a try. Let's see where I want to put it. I think I want it to come out of this corner into that starburst kind of pattern. So let's see what this color does. Okay, it's kind of light. I see it there, and it's coming down like sun rays, which is nice. That's better on that darker color. And oh yeah, it gets lost over there on the yellow. So I need to regroup, add more white, and let's see if I can brighten this up. So let's try this one more time. Slather that on, and let's try to place it right back where I was the first time. So much better. Oh yeah. So I'm going to start just laying this stamp down in random places. I'm going to keep reloading it probably every 2 or 3 times. You might not see me do it every time, but just know that I am reloading it in between as I need it. And I'm just going to start building out these diagonal lines of diagonal lines, right? So I think it looks like, oh my gosh, it looks like a pineapple sunshine. I think it's quite wonderful. And I'm usually really intimidated by artwork like this and in an art journal because I'm so unsure of what it's going to do, but I love stumbling upon some of these patterns and color combinations that I wouldn't otherwise expect or create. All right, let's lay some more down. And I love how it looks in, oh yeah, I've got a lot of pigment on here. That looks great. I'm going to put it over some of these darker areas so that the lines really stand out. Heck, I think I might cover all of it and just continue this. Let's add a few more. Yeah, I like this whole directional pattern from right to left and up to down. Wow, this looks like sunshine. It looks like a summer day. Right? Okay, so let's get some like periwinkle color or a lavender color. I want to get a cool color, but I want it to still be light. So I'm still going to use our string stamp and coat it one more time and some more of this pattern down, but a little more sparse than we did the yellow. All right, I'm going to start right here. Ooh la la, do I like that. So I'm going to put it like every other one and just start building that out, still in the same direction as the other marks. And I'm not afraid to layer on top of marks that I've already made. And I also want to make sure that I start building these shapes going off of the page, like there at the bottom. I'll put one right here on the right side of the page going off. And then I think I need one more to the left over here. But I just think that helps with the directionality and everything pointing from right to left. Okay, so we're drying one more time quickly, and now we're going to move on to our bubble wrap. So I kind of envision more of a white color. I also have that little bit of green hanging out here, so I'm going to dip just a little bit of it. I don't think it's going to do much, but at least it'll create a tint of color that might be interesting. So I'm just going to start slathering it onto the bubble side of the bubble wrap, the bubbly side, and get a bunch of pigment on there. I think I need a little bit more. And you know, the first time you mix a color, we don't know what it's going to do. So I honestly try to err to a color that I can correct. So I usually will go a little lighter than I think I might need, just because I can always add more pigment, but it's harder to take away. Okay, let's put this first one down. And I just want to make sure that I lift it straight off and I don't smear it as I take it off. So I definitely want to be careful of that as I lift it up and off of the page, so that my little circle patterns, that the integrity still exists. And I tell you, I'm not thinking too hard about where I'm putting this stuff. I'm just kind of sprinkling it about the page however I feel. I mean, this is intuitive, you guys. I don't know what this is going to look like at the end. I know you don't know what yours is going to look like either. But that's part of the fun, right? I think this is great. And this is out of my box. I'm telling you guys, when I haven't done this before, this is not my style of art. It is, ooh, I'm so type A that I really need lines and shadows and crisp edges and all the stuff. So this whole repeating pattern and kind of montage of abstractness is very foreign to me, but I think it's freeing, and I'm glad I'm doing it with you guys. All right, so I think that's enough of the bubbles. I'm gonna start drying this. We will move on to the next phase. Okay, so I started carving some lino blocks. Here's my little tool. This is a whole other video on how to make these, but when I said that the stamps were expensive, that I was gonna make some of my own. So I've decided just to take my markers and start coloring on this little circle lino block stamp that I made myself and test it out here in the corner. Like I said, I like using lighter colors to begin with, just because they're easier to forget, or your mind doesn't see them, or, you know, I can correct it. But I think that's lovely. What a great pattern. It's nice and random. I'm going to put a little bit more here down in the bottom left corner, just to kind of create a larger shape of dots in the corner. You know, we've got the white ones from the bubble wrap, but now it's kind of nice to see some little bit lighter ones, a little bit different shaped, but they're still dots. Boom. Love it. Okay, so let's try another color since I like that so much. I'm going to use this lighter blue to kind of pick up from the periwinkle that we put down for our little pineapple shapes or sunray shapes. Okay, so I'm just popping a few of these here again intuitively, just around where I feel like there needs to be more interest. You know, I want your eye to go to and move around. I can always group them together, like this one. I put one down right there. I can flip it and put one right there next to it, make a larger shape. Okay, so what next? Let's start doing some more intuitive mark making with another found object. So I've got this paper towel roll that's actually very, very rigid, and I want to pick up a color that is going to really, really stand out. So I've decided on this bluish turquoise color, and it's a liquid acrylic ink by Liquitex. So I've got this little dropper that I can use, which is going to make this application really easy. So I'm just going to rim the edge with my ink and start using it as a stamp. And I'm not going to stamp everywhere. I'm just going to stamp occasionally. I want them to overlap. I want it to draw your eye around the page. This is actually a really relaxing process. I love discovering how everyday objects like string and cardboard, all those things make such unique stamps and textures. Just like this one, when I stamp down on it, doesn't seem to print all the way, or it prints in an irregularity that I think is very interesting, especially in front of all these pineapple sun rays that we made. So I'm going to speed this up and just kind of continue to put down these shapes. I'm going to leave space for us to have that journal we can doodle in, that we can reflect in, that we can jot thoughts down in. So we still want to remember that this is an art journal and we want to utilize it that way. So I'm going to leave that space in the middle for some words. So I'm blotting the extra ink. Yes, I am going to dry it one more time. We're going to do one more found object, and these are these paper towel holders that are a little thinner, and I've rubber band two of them together. I'm going to make sure that the level of them is flush to each other and start stamping this down. This is kind of a organic ovular, is ovular a word? Ovular shaped pattern. And I love this gold because it kind of gets lost in the background. It's kind of tying the foreground into the background because we're layering this on top of some other shapes that we made. Just, it's a repetitive process again, putting more ink down, stamping a few times, getting more ink. And I'm going to continue this out, just stamping it around. And you might think it's too much. Well, you know what? It might be too much, but it's also really pretty at the same time. The gold is really luminescent, and I love how it plays with the light that's already on the page. And I love the different shapes that we don't see other places. All right, here we go. It's time for the Zentangle. So I'm going to start pulling into a yin yang kind of pattern. This Zentangle, all these Zentangles have a name. So this Zentangle's name is Cruffle. And people are very particular about the types of Zentangles. And if you invent one, you get to name it. And so people are really, the ownership of these things, I think, runs very deep. So I want to make sure I tell you guys what it is we're drawing. But essentially, it's the same shape over and over again. I've drawn the yin yang, and then I'm going to pull a dark line that's a little bit thicker down the center of one. So right here, I'm going with the S curve, pick a side, pull down the center, make it a little thicker, and then start making lines that go around all of it to complete the space that's left. So here we go again. I'm pulling the line, the S curve. I'm picking a side to build up the middle. And then I'm going to follow my pen around, just tracing around these shapes that I've already made and just filling in the white that is there. Okay, a few more times. S shape, picking a side, pulling the middle, thickening, and then bringing lines around it to outline it little by little to fill up the space that we already have there. Now, right or left? I think I'm going to go right because I like all the gold that's hanging out on the left. So yeah, you'll have to make some artistic decisions based off of how the paint is behaving on top of the circles that we've already made as we have layered the paint. Okay, so here we go. I'm speeding it up. You can see, as watching a film that goes fast, you really can appreciate the pattern, the repetitiveness, and you can appreciate the mindful creativity that we're doing. It's the same thing over and over, but we are making artistic decisions along the way, where we pull our S pattern, how we fill it in, and we're building a big cohesive art journal page. All right, so the next Zentangle that we're going to do is called Flux. And it essentially is the same little teardrop patterns that we have within our circles. We're just going to pull 3 of them, 5 of them on the outside of the circles and make them kind of leaves. And then we'll put a center line with 2 dots, center line, 2 dots. If you can't fit 2 dots, 1 dot is fine. If you can't fit any dots, just the line is fine. Or just the dots, whatever you choose. Watch me as I pull a few of these in real time. I'm just making choices just to make sure that one side of the teardrop is touching another side of either a teardrop or the circle itself. So I can have these things come off of the circle, or I can have them lay down on the side of the circle like this one and have them come out and lay on each other, or have them come off further from the circle. So having space on the bottom side. There's my dots, making the teardrop. And I can have 2, I can have 3. It all looks good. Just kind of balance it. And I'm still leaving room below this one through the middle of the page to write whatever it is I choose I'm going to write. Okay, so I'm looking around, seeing how I want to complete the left side of this. I'm going to pull some teardrops out of the space in between the 2 circles. That looks nice. Maybe one more here. And you see how I vary the size of them too. You can make them bigger toward the base and then a little smaller as they come out, just like leaves would grow. There's one, here's the second one, line, dot, dot, and a smaller third one. Something on the right side to balance. We'll lean this one flush to the circle. But these are all the same shapes. These are all the same patterns over and over again. I want to think about that falling off the page. So as I'm drawing these, I'm going to draw a few of these to make your mind think that there's more to it than we see. So as I speed this up, again, you can appreciate the repetitive nature of what we're doing. Honestly, it's super relaxing. I know I keep saying that, but it's fun to doodle. It's fun to just have an objective and get through it. This might take you 20, 30 minutes to do, maybe more, maybe less. But I think I want some color. So the green, I'm just pulled to this neon green. So I think I'm going to pick it up a little bit. I know we put a little bit in that white earlier from the bubble wrap, but it didn't really seem to show up. You know, we have the underlying tone of it. So I think this green, this yellowy neon. So I'm just going to continue to paint this up and fill in the rest of these. Okay, let's dry it up one more time. Get all this ink nice and dry. Okay, now I've got this little gelato crayon. It's a watercolor based crayon, and I am just going to make some marks and kind of vary the color that's inside of these green seed balls. They do remind me of seeds, like fun little seeds with leaves growing off the side of them. So I'm just making them a little polka dotty and just dotting some more color on top of it, just so it's not just so monotone from the one color of the neon green that we put down. All right, just one more. Yeah. Now I'm looking around the page. I'm just seeing where I need to add one or two here or there. Pull your eye around the whole thing and shine it up. You do these little details and it actually really makes things pop. This is where the magic is. Okay, what's next? What do we want to do next? Now, I think we need to think of some words to write down. So I've come up with a quote. If you want to journal and just write about your day or make some New Year's resolutions, go for that too. But I am thinking that creativity blooms where curiosity takes root. That's what this page reminds me of. I've got the pineapple sunshine in the background. I've got my little seed balls that are floating around. So once I've written my words, I'm going to go back over them and rewrite them. I forgot the I right there in creativity, you guys. It happens. But I fit it back in. And once I get it written down, I'm going back a second time and thickening the letters in certain areas, kind of making it all fit together. When I first initially write it down, I do want to make sure that I leave a little space in between the letters so that I can thicken them after I first write it. Now, I'm also looking around. What else can I do? Yeah, I'm going to make these letters pop a little bit. So I'm going to put a drop shadow coming off from the right hand side and the bottom. So I've got this sped up so you can see what I'm doing. Coming in on the right hand side, the right margins, and I'm coming in on the bottom margins. And see how that actually pulls the letters off of the page. I highly recommend this. This takes me back to high school when I would make posters for pep rallies and for football games. I was a flag girl. I also twirled rifle in the marching band. So I remember making lots and lots of posters like this. So I want to take this one step further, even from the black. I think I'm going to outline everything in this gold pen. And this is just another detail to where the light hits it at just an angle. It catches your eye. It's not something that jumps out at the page from you unless the light is hitting it just right. So I know it takes a minute. If you outline your letters like this, they're really, really going to pop. So I'm going to finish out these last couple ones. And then I'm going to look back over the whole thing. And since I've got the gold pen in my hand, I think I want to knock back some of this black a little bit that's showing up in these seed balls so much. So I'm just going to take the time and go over several of the lines and not be perfect about it, but I'm going to go over them with this gold pen just to make them pop in the middle and just to make, just to set them back. See how it's erasing some of that black that it's so in your face. So I think this gold is really taking care of it for me. That's it. We have made a finished journal page so you can walk away with a beautifully layered, ready to use page for journaling, doodling, or reflecting, whatever you want. I hope you've gained some ideas for some future projects, and you can apply these techniques to future journal pages and other mixed media art projects. So thank you for joining me in week 3. This is Jules Art Bender. Hope you've enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.